just adding them to the agenda.
Okay.
Motion made by Glenn and seconded by Jamie to add those items to the agenda for tonight's meeting. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is public comments, and is there anybody on the call?
Nope.
Nick? No, okay. And there's nobody in the room with
Just me.
Mark, so he's here for another reason, so I will dispense with the public comments and move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. Need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Jamie and seconded by Glenn to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business. There's a letter of support for the Shires, and I really only need a motion to have me sign on behalf of the select board for that. And it is to rehab the Arlington Village Center community, the Shires housing over here. And it's just a letter of support for that project. So, anybody wants to look at the letter, it's here.
So we just need to
Just
authorize
authorize
you
me
to sign?
on behalf.
I make a motion to authorize Mr. Harvey to sign the letter of support for Shires Housing for their rehabilitation project.
Second. Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Glenn to sign the letter of support for the Shires housing. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I've already signed it, so. That's how confident I was. All right, so the next thing is the copier award, and I believe there's two contracts. You wanna
Yes,
summarize that?
there are two comparables I pulled together. These are about as close as I feel comfortable getting on to adjacent brands copier. So we have an HP setup with 4 paper trays that comes to a total of $4,423.44. And then we have a offer by Repeat Business Solutions out of the local area. I cannot remember which town it is.
Albany.
Out of Albany,
New York.
for $56.85, and that comes with a couple of things that were not successfully unbundled with that. This comes with setup and removal of the old device, so that saves us time from running it up to doing that. And importantly, it comes with better setup so that we can be more confident that we will hit the ground running when this is installed. So numbers are 5685 for Repeat Business Solutions and 4423.44 for the CDW, which includes our state contract pricing on at least part of it.
Which one of these do you recommend?
So Robin deeply prefers the Repeat Business Solutions offer simply because, like when we otherwise have awarded with firms that have more of a local nexus, we're going to have a better experience by working with people who know what they're talking about on the install and have a bit more customer assurance than fighting with CDW on a return in case this doesn't go correctly. I'm a lot more confident in one where we have someone that we can call, and Robin, who is going to be using this on an everyday basis, expressed deep support for that option. It's also
These are purchases and not lease.
Yeah, these are both purchases. We have a lease option on the Repeat Business Solutions option. Because I can't get a comparable on that, I'm not gonna offer that as a new solution. And because we like to buy these and then cycle the old one into the second story office, and the goal here is to retire the one in Janet's office and lower our printing costs via that way. That's what a non-lease option allows us to do.
I
So
know at the school we lease all of ours.
Yeah,
Up
if,
there, that comes with service.
yeah, if we did not, I thought about doing this and transitioning it, if we did not have place such a premium on wanting to retire that Xerox in the next office, I would rather not stay on a 5-year replacement cycle for that, because we only have one unit we're replacing every 5 to 7 years. I strategically it could go both ways, but I think I would prefer a buy option on this one solely because of the reuse option here.
And this is budgeted for?
This is budgeted for, it's in CRF computers. We have 17,000 and change. It's $17,401.71 in the computers fund for expenses just like this. I'm kind of glad we don't have a specific Xerox fund like we used to have for these replacements, but that's absolutely a great use of this funding that we have. So.
And it's less than a third of the existing sinking fund.
Yeah, the sinking fund has plenty of money in it. I expect to reduce sinking fund allocations next year, actually, even after this purchase, because we're in a great place on our technology cycle, or replacement cycle, because of the investments over the last couple of years. Like some firms in our area that have taken on new businesses and things like that have great equipment, I'm really happy with where our equipment is, that we can probably reduce some of the computer budgeting in the coming years, despite ongoing further upgrades to computers that are coming out of our operating budget. So noting that this $5,000 allocation is not the only funding we have, and that most of this will be replaced in the fall anyway. So yeah, still voted appropriation of $5,000 this year.
I'll make a motion to accept Repeat Business Solutions quote of $5,685.
Second.
Motion made by Todd and seconded by Glenn to approve and award the contract to Repeat Business Systems, Inc. of Albany, New York, for a total price of $5,685. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item on there is
BSP
contract for
contract.
BSP for our annual service and controls and so forth. It's the same, pretty much the identical contract to last year minus the different dates. And the total amount for this year will be $18,316.48.
This does
Not to exceed.
Yes, this does represent a slight decrease in total number of hours per week, based on the budget adjustments that we made previously. Knowing that only a portion of the hours were being delivered, it's exactly where we're at. We knew where we would be right here. So
Does this authorize you or me to sign?
I believe it's me, actually.
I think it is, it says agent, so.
Yeah, so
So the motion would have to have authorized.
it also needs I do need a sole source tag on this. We're dealing with let's just be safe and safe, to agree sole source this.
Does that need to be part of the motion?
Yeah, just a motion to award a sole source contract of not to exceed 18,361.48.
I make a motion to approve of the contract for the Vermont State Police for the contract year beginning July 1st, 2023, ending June 30th, 2024, not to exceed $18,316.48 on a sole source contract basis.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made by Cynthia and seconded by Glenn to enter into the contract with the Vermont State Police for the calendar year.
Not calendar year.
Or, I'm sorry,
Contract
January,
year.
contract year, from January 1st.
July.
July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. The total amount of $18,316.48. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
So 4 ayes, 1 abstention, motion carried. And I'll leave that for you to sign, Nick.
Okay.
Right, the next item is,
Park.
yeah, I'm gonna let you explain that.
So,
It's not
we-
difficult.
so to briefly summarize, we have to make some adjustments to the park healthcare budget, due to some employees changing healthcare availability circumstance. We need to authorize an overrun of $21,000. So how that is going to be paid for, I will quickly share my screen. This is the way I'm going. Yes. So the bagger reimbursement that is coming, if not here yet, is to cover $5,000 of that. There's a little bit of differentiation here for that number, just because we were slightly overrun on that line anyway, so they'll cover that. $3,000 decrease in fields and grounds maintenance, and we're not gonna be doing a whole lot of major upgrades later in the year on fields and grounds, especially having heard the news that we don't have to renovate fully the putting greens. And then there's $13,300 that can be shifted to the highway budget, importantly, such that no highway dollars flow to non-highway spending. So this is covering the time, the labor associated with November and December, where the park staff will be detailed to the highway department for both healthcare and labor, which is coming from surplus associated with changing staff mix and low overtime from January this year, which we all know we had a great January. So I have budgets available in case anyone has any questions on that, but that's where this is coming from. All we need now is a authorization to overrun that healthcare line by $21,000. So.
Question, go ahead.
Could you get the screen back?
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm not understanding what we're doing. We have a $21,000 overrun on the health insurance costs in the park because of more hours
No,
and
because
because of the change in status.
an employee needs health insurance. I'll leave the discussion on that to that. An employee now needs health insurance. So.
And this is for the
This is-
budget year, March to March.
Yeah, this is
March,
budget
January.
year remainder of this calendar year.
Remainder of this calendar year,
So
okay.
so health insurance costs for our government for a full family run at just a shade under $3,000 a month. So 6 months, $18,000, simple math. We already had a payment in lieu of, that was associated with this of $3,000 that I'm happy to explain.
Okay, but what I don't understand is, okay, we've got the overrun, then what's below? That's where you're getting the money?
That's where we're
That's where
getting
we're
the
getting
money
the
from.
money.
Okay, it's not very clear that
Sorry.
that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get the money in those other things, and then you're talking about some of the healthcare costs being billed to highway because the park staff works with the highway at certain times.
Yeah,
Is
we
that
detail
correct?
fully
Correct.
to the highway department
Right.
as an employee within the highway department for the months
Okay.
of November and December. So then we can fully attribute all labor and all healthcare costs of those 2 months to highway without any budget shifting around or anything like that. Nice, clean, simple, auditable, justifiable to an
Correct me if
auditor.
I'm wrong, Nick, the bottom line, the 7,300 is from this past January.
Yes.
And the 6,000 is this coming November and December. Is
So,
that
no,
clarified?
the 7,300, so yeah, the accrued, realistically, all of this labor is healthcare for November, December, labor for November, December. But where it's coming from, the pay-fors are from labor avoided in January by the rest of the highway crew.
Yep.
And health insurance that is not taken by the existing highway crew because of the changes in who our staff members were and whether they were taking single or couples health insurance. So there is free budget available that we planned on spending but are not going to spend on both of those lines. That gives us enough budget to do this without illegally shifting costs onto highway taxpayers.
Cause you got 8,000 from the park budget.
Yes.
The 5,000 and the 3,000, and then the 6,000 and the 7,300, that's from the highway department, which is legitimate because of
Yeah.
the staff, transition.
Yes, the
Okay,
way we're staffed.
that's fine,
Yeah,
I
that's,
understand that.
that's how this is being paid for. It is a fairly, I tried to do this in the most straightforward way possible that we do.
No, I mean, this is
Yeah.
fine, and you said it the first time, but I couldn't,
No, I
I
appreciate it.
couldn't read it and understand what you were saying at the same time, I'm sorry, so
No problem.
that's fine.
That's quite all right.
Can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question? 'Cause
Yes.
it's my highway
Yeah.
budget. The 7,300, so that was money that was allocated to pay overtime and just wasn't used?
Yeah, just wasn't
Okay.
rest.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah,
I
it's
just
not-
wanted to ask.
Yeah, it's not
This-
competing with anything.
Right,
January
And that's
20.
leaving,
Just past January.
yeah, that's
right.
leaving plenty of buffer, let me
For
see,
November.
what,
$300 extra.
year to date,
You also have a salary buffer in there too.
Yeah, that's-
We do.
yeah, the salary buffer, this could come, there's money that this could have come out of either overtime or labor. I like to use it out of the overtime because it's a lot more straightforward and a lot more predictable in this case.
And easier to explain.
Yes, much easier to explain. Year to date, we've used about $8,000 in overtime on a $30,000 budget. So it will take the worst November in the world, and I will knock on every piece of wood here to adjust that. We will leave enough buffer in the budget in case from other lines, in case we do face that scenario. But we remain in a pretty good budget situation in the highway department across the board.
For November, yes.
For-
So
Yeah,
do
having
we
done
need
this.
do we need a motion to approve this, do we need to approve the overrun?
We just need to approve the overrun of $21,000 on the park healthcare line.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the $21,000 overrun on the park health insurance line.
Second.
Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Todd to approve the overrun of 21,000 on the park health insurance line. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Okay. Very brief public notice is next. We were contacted by the library. Apparently, the select board has a slot on the library board that it is tasked with appointing. This is the public notice. Hello, all of you people at home. If you'd like to be on the library board of trustees, please contact the Arlington Select Board. I hope very few members of the Sunderland and Sandgate populace are watching this video, but it does apply to, and has eligibility for both members of the Sunderland and Sandgate community as well. So if you're watching at home and you want to be on the library board, please contact the select board. I certainly don't think this is something that anyone on the select board wants to personally do, but anyone who has names for this, feel free to forward them to me, and we'll get them appointed at a coming meeting. So that's that. So the next item is.
4.6.
Next item is fire department policies. Because we have a more urgent highway or fire matter, they certainly encouraged us to spend more time on the contract matter. But there are copies of the policies available for review. There are 4 policies, and I'll just name them now and quickly express. There's a copy of all of this on the table as well. One is a physical altercation or standard operating procedure. I believe that would be better managed by the standard town personnel policies. Likewise, there is a insubordination procedure or SOG addition that would also be better served by a general.
These are the new ones that Mike brought.
These are the new ones that Mike brought.
So there are already some that are in play.
Right. And I have not been able to obtain yet a good copy of some of those
I
things.
have them.
Okay, Jamie, if you could get me those so we can review this, but I'll just name the other 2 for the board to start thinking about. One is an SCBA SOG, which I know, Jamie, you and I have talked about.
Yep.
It does
There
exist.
was one of those as well.
There is one of those. I think that I remember you circulated that to me before. that one, it is on the books, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so this one I do not feel covers any ground that we need to on that. So it'd be better just for us to circulate that and make clear to the firefighters that that policy has still been vetted, is still in play, is still what we're expecting to hold people to, and that making some bespoke policies now is not really something we need to be doing when we have a good policy in place. And then we have a driver policy that Mr. King had proposed a number of additions. Some of them, if anything, this may be a good addition to our policies, but it may be, does the board want members who are between the ages of 18 and 21 operating fire apparatus on a solo basis? Or should there be some kind of training mechanism which this policy attempts to implement in place? And that's something that we can think about. He had some good ideas in this, but there are certainly, this policy as presented has a lot that's repeated with our drug and alcohol policies. We certainly don't want a person driving a fire apparatus who does not have a driver's license. That's in here. I think that should be able to go without saying, at least without saying in a driver operator policy. But certainly,
I don't think we can, not that I want to get too deep into the policies, but I don't think you can only require those between the age of 18 and 21 to conduct a training. That would
Yeah.
be age discrimination.
yeah, that's exactly
So
where I
it's either all
feel,
or nothing.
yeah. This is not like the CDL rules where there's
So in the
regulations on
past,
this that
we
have
have not
been,
let anyone under the age of 21 operate a fire apparatus, unless it was the SUV, and once in a while the brush truck.
yeah. This one carves out truck
Those are
7 times.
non-CDL vehicles,
Mhm.
even though we're CDL, we're not required to have CDLs, because the other trucks would be, we did not allow. And that was on the heels of the insurance company.
Mhm.
Yeah, so maybe that one, I'll seek guidance from our insurer about procedure on that, knowing that our insurer retains a firefighter in their adjusting division, and they have a great idea of what the rules should be on that space. So I'll seek guidance on the driver rules more than
I will
anything
get
else.
you those others.
I appreciate
I
that.
have them on my computer. That's
So are we officially warning these policies?
So we're gonna,
Not today.
yeah, we've warned these as a preliminary discussion. And I wanted to throw the topics out as something that we are chewing on enacting procedure, and make clear to you guys that I think there are a couple of, like 2 of the 4 policies I think definitely need to be addressed directly in our personnel policies. One policy, that an employee, whether they're in the fire department capacity or in the highway department capacity or in any other department, should be held to the same standards on insubordination and verbal altercations. We should not be treating a member of different departments differently because of the different specific styles of chain of command. So, yeah, I'm a believer in the one personnel policy type method in this space if you can. So that's where, but that does not necessarily apply to a driving a fire apparatus policy. That should be an SOG, and an SCBA should definitely be an SOG. So, Jamie, thank you in advance for sending me those. But we'll plan on having further discussion on this at the next meeting. These are policies, so you do not need to be warned or warned any differently like an ordinance would need to be and repass it at multiple meetings. This is just a preliminary discussion.
Dan, I think that Mark had his hand.
I just had a quick question. Does Vermont have any, in New York State, we either have to have, because I'm on White Creek's Fire Department, we either have to have a commercial driver's license, or you have to take an EVOC course, Emergency Vehicle Operation course,
So
to operate apparatus.
We recommend them in Vermont. It is not.
It's not required, okay.
It's
I,
not
just
required.
over our place it's required, so.
Just like.
I didn't
to
know
be
if
an
they
officer,
offered.
I always ask the guys to take an officer in leadership course.
Mhm.
Yeah, there are definitely some some formal education that we might want to be discussing about in some of these cases in the future. So that's what I had on these, a fire department policies discussion without any firefighters in the room, short of Amy. So that's all I had on this, with the intention that we'll bring it up again, and I talked.
I will have those others for you at the next meeting so that we can review
Yeah,
those
we have
as
it.
well.
Yeah, we'll have that, we'll circulate those in advance, and I will have them in a passable, what we think should be in a passable format, by that time if appropriate.
So between now and then, we can digest.
We'll digest some of that,
what's
knowing that
presented,
these are what we're
give
talking
feedback
about.
on it if we want to.
If anyone, like, there's a set of those on the table, if anyone wants to review them in the meantime, I can also make further copies, etc.
Those are
So, but otherwise, I'm happy to circulate them online. So that's it on that
Those are
topic.
just simple drafts, so
Um,
no action will be taken on that tonight.
So road and bridge standards.
All right, road and bridge standards. This is a, if you recall, this is something we do every year. And it's just a simple pass it. One is there's two different ones. One is road and bridge standards.
One's the road and bridge standards, and one's a certification of compliance on those road and bridge standards. So we can probably pass those as one motion.
One motion,
The
sign
certificate of
twice.
compliance and the road and bridge standards. Our road and bridge standards have not changed since we last talked about, or since we last passed these. I've since affirmed the gravel depth numbers with the state when I had a conversation with them last fall. But
I make a motion to approve the town road and bridge standards for the municipality of Arlington, Vermont. Readopting the standards from June 5th, 2019, and also certification of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory for the town of Arlington.
Second.
Motion's made by Cynthia and seconded by Jamie to reapprove the road and bridge standards and attest to the fact that we are in compliance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So there's two places.
Two places
to
to
sign.
sign.
so Mark, this is you're up next.
This is my table?
Okay, you are up, Mark,
Yay, it's my turn.
under highway.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, 2 weeks ago, I was able to stop to upstate truck sales on Route 7 on the way to Troy. I found this truck, which, in my opinion, out of all the ones that are there, this is probably the one in the best condition. I did not drive it or hear it run. So I would like to do that beforehand, but I would like to see, before we get Auctions International to auction the truck and the excavator, I have one sensor left to get for the small excavator to make the check engine lights stay off. They brought me down a used one, put it down, figured out that that's what the problem was. Go back, took the one off because he needed it back. So he has a new one ordered. Should be here, I would say, by this week. Here is, I didn't make copies of all of these. Some that are kind of comparable. It's hard to find a truck with a utility body online to look at for sale. So these are some of the comparable ones. I got 3 that I printed off. I'd like the board to possibly let me get down and test drive this truck, see how it drives, and if it all goes the way I think it does, make an offer on it and purchase it before we put the other things on auction, because I don't know, you know, I mean, because this could sell tomorrow, I don't know.
So we have it warned such that we can award that tonight. So if we can consider formally.
And this is what you know, the gentleman's asking for it, I don't know if he'll take less.
We can,
So
we
we
can
can
approve this
always
as a not
offer
to
less,
exceed.
not to exceed, yep.
Right.
Exactly.
The other thing that I wanted to mention on this, or any vehicle that we buy, is it is used. So, you know, we may have to do repairs on it, but it's not a $70,000 purchase either. You know, it's a $20,000 purchase. It has tires that will go through the summer fine, but in the, you know, before winter, we would have to put tires on it for sure. I talked to a friend of mine that works at a Ford dealer. He's a Ford Master Tech. He told me the things to look for that usually go wrong with this type vehicle, which are exhaust manifolds, which Jamie's had done in his school truck, which are not something we can do in-house. I've done one myself, and I vow never to do another one. No.
That says all we need to know.
Way too much work. They're used to it, they do it every day at Ford, they know what.
Yep.
Jamie, do you remember how much it was to do both sides of yours and the transmission cooler lines and the dipstick tube?
About $3,200.
And that's if it needs, you know, I'm just saying, I just
That was with the
wanna,
transmission.
I just wanna throw that out so that everybody,
And 6 stubs.
right, so.
So we might be in for a couple of $1,000 on any vehicle that we buy.
And any vehicle that we buy.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Sure.
just because we're not buying a new truck.
Yep.
This truck has an aluminum service body on the back. The paint is peeling off of it, but it's not rotted at all. And
'Cause it's aluminum.
Right. As an 8-foot Fisher snowplow, I wish it was a 9, but it's not. But the plow is in excellent condition. I don't think the vehicle was ever used to plow with on a
Commercially.
regular basis. I think it was a power company in New Hampshire that owned it. You could still see the lettering on the doors. They didn't clean, you know, the sticky stuff off real good.
Mhm.
I think it was, you know, we had to plow, so if we have to plow something to get in to repair it, type of thing. But like I said, he probably has 15 to 20 Super Duty pickups down there, 3/4 tons. Some have plows, some don't. And like I said, out of all of them, I think this one's in the best rust looking condition, you know, to look it all over. This was my, plus it has the things that we want, you know, it has a plow. The service body would be real nice because we could put a chainsaw in there, we could put tools in there, we could, you know.
Do any of the comps have a plow with them? So
No.
if not, then we can consider
No,
the plow bonus.
one of them I think has a plow on it, but
So-
the other two don't. And you're looking at a straight blade plow, you're looking at
Yeah.
$6,000 to $7,000.
Yeah,
At
so in
least.
that case, what I would like the board, if they're going to consider awarding it tonight, let's compare that one, which gets us to our legally required 2 comparable bids. And this one, so we can have a reasonable apples to apples comparison in that case. One that certainly would be audit ready, as an award. But, yeah, this is something that,
I know we've discussed it in the
We
past
just-
where, you know, once the truck's sold, then we would take that money and supplement, you know, out of the truck fund to
we have plenty
to make it.
of funding up front, knowing that we are going to be getting auction funding back.
And then when the auction comes, then, you know, comes in, which I'm hoping that sensor will be here this week, and then Nick has to place a call for the guy to come and take pictures.
Yeah, there's no liquidity issue on that. So, yeah,
It's up to you people's
So-
discussion.
let's see.
This one is comparable to that one,
So is that,
and these don't
that one?
have plows.
Yeah, that's the only one with a plow.
Okay, so we'll
It was
treat
very,
those as the
I think
comps.
that was the only one out of all the ones I found with a service body and a plow.
Yep.
2 years and we're in $12,000 more.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so that is
$6,000 a year.
Vitaly Motors out of South Amboy, New Jersey is the competitor.
And that's an F-250 and this is an F-350. So,
Yeah.
Like
Close
I
enough
said,
in model.
you go online and look up F-250s, and it took me a long time just to find some that had, were certain regular cab service body, type things.
We went through this with the comps on the Whack News next week as well, and
If you were just looking at a regular pickup, it's a little easier to find, but, I wanted to try to compare it, as close as I could, so.
Personally, I see no reason not to go with your advice because it's the better deal anyway. So, anybody want to take a quick look at those, go ahead. And then I'll entertain a motion to approve a not to exceed.
And like I said, I would definitely want to go down and drive this truck before we make it.
so maybe we have to make the
Condition.
motion, the award approved contingent on a test drive
I don't wanna
and
go down
approval
and,
by the road form.
Drive it,
Positive
and
test
listen
drive.
to it and, say, no, it's, sounds horrible, it's gonna be
Yeah.
an engine, or,
Yep.
no, and then we'll walk away from it and we'll continue looking,
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. We'll make sure it's reflected in
I
the
mean,
minutes that
I don't
it's
want
a
to,
contingent.
I don't want to buy a, complete piece of garbage.
Right.
Do we need to allow for the possibility that there's something wrong, but something that's quite fixable, but that we could negotiate the price, or should we just treat the
Well,
price?
if
Treat
he
this as
does
price.
not to exceed.
Not to exceed, then he's got.
He can negotiate
Okay.
based on what he thinks
Right,
is
I mean, because this is his
appropriate.
asking price, I don't know how
Yeah.
Right.
well
right,
he'll be,
right.
maybe we can purchase it for 18.
Right,
I mean, I
right.
don't know.
Right,
I'll make the motion to approve purchase of 2011 Ford Super Duty F-350 XL from Upstate Auto Sales Incorporated, not to exceed $20,000.
second,
Motion made by Todd and seconded by Cynthia to approve the purchase of a 2011 Super Duty.
Oh yeah, actually, let's amend the contingency and just to be safe, can we amend that in just contingent on, so then we're not bound by this if we do.
I will amend my motion to say contingent upon road
Inspection and
foreman
road,
test
Mark
drive.
Robinson's approval.
yep. Okay,
I made my second.
so Todd made a motion to approve the purchase contingent on Mark Robinson's approval and test driving of same for 2011 Ford Super Duty F-350 XL for a price not to exceed $20,000. And it was seconded by Cynthia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, where do you comparable printout, wherever that shuffled around to?
2000.
Right there.
They're all in there.
Let's see.
Second, the other one.
It's the one on the floor now.
Yep, got it. Now I'm going with
Everybody wants one of
my
those
big
to
stuff.
look at. All right, so the next part is still under highways, the flail mower award discussion.
So last week, it was a bad week. Excavator broke down on Monday, so our parts finally came for the sickle bar mower. So I went and picked them up. We put the sickle bar mower together, and as I was out looking for parts, I also stumbled across a flail mower, 55-inch cut flail mower off to the side that will work on our tractor instead of trying to buy a tractor big enough to handle a boom mower. So I talked to Salem Farm Supply, Capital Tractor, and United Ag and Turf. The only one that got me a price was Capital Tractor. They have one in stock, and his price came in at, the list cost on it is $75.85. His price, discounted price for the town was $65.65. since this has all transpired, I'll get into something different if I can.
Mhm.
The town of Sandgate is in a bad situation. They had gotten a Better Roads grant that was awarded in 21. They thought they had till the end of October to finish it, to get their, to get their $28,000. They had till the end of this month. So they're scrambling, trying to get ditch work done, culverts in. They had the trees down. They need some help. So I've been wanting since I took over, been wanting to do something as far as us working with Sandgate, Sunderland, and possibly the town of Shasbury. So Sandgate has a boom mower. So instead of us buying a flail mower, I have the sickle bar back together. We've already broke one knife off of it. So it's one of those mowers that, it's a great thing, but for roadside mowing, it's not.
Constant maintenance.
It's constant, because, you get delineator posted or broke off this high and the grass is this high, you can't see it. You hit it, you knock knives off, you bring it back. It takes probably 2 hours to pull the knife section out, put a new knife on, put it back together. That's if it didn't hurt the bar.
Something else, yeah.
And it took a month and a half to get the parts for it this time. So if I had to order another cutter bar section, I don't know how long it will take. So in all of this, working with Sandgate, Sunderland, Sandgate has an over-the-rail boom mower, like what the town used to rent for 2 weeks. So what I'd like to do is something kind of like the fire department does with mutual aid. So if we're in a bind and need some help, or need a piece of equipment that one of the other towns has and are not using it and are willing to let it up, to be able to, borrow things from other towns, use things from other towns, help other towns out. I've talked to Mike Yanati from Shasbury, this highway foreman, who works with Norm LeBlanc from North Bennington. They work together a lot. How they do it, there's no money exchange. There's some years Shasbury makes out better, some years North Bennington makes out better. It's all kind of a wash. What they do is have an agreement so that if Shasbury has North Bennington's piece of equipment and it breaks, they repair it, or somehow pay for the repairs, vice versa. I've talked to Chris Reben in the town of White Creek. White Creek, Salem, Cambridge, and Jackson all work together, all 4 towns. They do it the same exact way. No money exchange. It's, you kind of keep track of, Chris said he tries to, keep track close, not, somewhat what they've done for other towns, to see what he gets back, because he, like he said,
if we do something like this, we will keep track of all of this and keep records, in part because I am curious how this would work, and as a person who's into this transportation mutual aid world on a regional level, this is a great idea. So
there's
knowing that the model exists, and this is something that, importantly, the state is pushing towns to get into agreements to do exactly this. So it's well trodden in Vermont.
There's equipment that every town has to have, as we know, the trucks, the grader, but there's other stuff that Sandgate may have that we don't. They have a big excavator now that they purchased. That might help us on some of our projects. So I'd like to work back and forth. I really want to be able to help them get through this next week and a half, 2 weeks. I don't want to see them lose $28,000 grant money. It's foolish. And the same thing, if we were in that predicament, those two would be down here in a second, to help us
And then your idea is that
We,
we would
he
get the
already
use
said
of
we
the
could
mower.
use, we could use their boom mower.
As long as this is okay in terms of insurance or whatever needs to be.
Yeah, we'll confirm on the insurance back end of this.
Are we all insured through Vermont Leagues of Cities?
Everyone's insured by the Vermont League of Cities.
It's the
Right.
same insurance
It's the same insurance company, there should be no risk that's being
Should be no
transferred
risk.
outside the pool. So.
Right, but it seems to me there should be something in writing in terms of, you know, if the mower that we're using gets damaged, we're responsible and we know it. I mean, there should be something, right, and this is so urgent because they're gonna run out the
Yeah,
clock.
they-
A
So-
little bit further than the gentleman's handshakes. so-
Yeah, just something
Yeah.
a little bit
So-
better than that.
So maybe
But I'm
we-
in favor of doing it because you never know when
I-
we're gonna need them. you
I
know.
spent all day today up there and I ran their excavator for them to help them out. Tomorrow we'd like to take our excavator, which is back going.
So you can do twice as much work.
Exactly. With our smaller machine, we can stone line the ditches. There's a lot of ditching that we can do with our small machine. I can have JJ run that, and I can run their big one while they're transferring stuff and materials
Cause
around.
there's only two of them.
There's only two of them.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so,
Absolutely.
so
He's
for the
doing
next
Stuff all the time,
for
but
the
it's a
next-
simple MOU.
Yeah.
week,
Yes, I'm
week and a
totally-
half, I'd like to spend as much time as I can up there. Our roads here are in,
Great job.
I think, pretty good
Yeah.
condition.
Yeah,
There's
they
a few
are.
roads that need scraping, but they're not horrible. There's, you know,
I'm getting out my shovel again.
get your shovel out,
Pop,
please.
pop, pop.
Count the potholes that you fill. Shane has close to half the town sickle bar mowed, at least one width
Mhm.
off the side of the road. So if it works that just two of us need to go up there, I can have him mow 'em. You know, it'll work out.
And so then what does this, how does this reflect on what you were starting out with?
We won't need a flail mower
Yeah.
for $6,000.
We don't need to buy one.
Yeah, we don't need to buy one, we can borrow one.
Yeah, or at least we
Change
can
this.
defer it. You know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
so-
Maybe next
so-
year we'll
right,
buy
so
something,
we can
or the
always
year
come back
after.
to that, but
Yeah,
if it
right.
works out to borrow it, you know, cause one of the things about borrowing stuff is that you find out that when you wanna borrow it is when they wanna use it, so let's wait and see how it goes.
If
Yeah,
I know
but-
you can
but
share it later.
Usually the roadside mowing, like they said up there, only takes a couple of weeks.
Oh, I need it here,
So,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
do yours.
if they do theirs first and then we get the tractor first.
And is
Sure.
this, is the one with the
Yeah, the
boom,
big arm, yeah.
is that better than the other one, like, because you can manipulate it more? I
Yeah,
mean,
you can
'cause
get over the
still-
guardrails, you
Does it
can-
have better protection so you don't damage it as much, or?
Not really, but you can get farther off the road too. So you could make like 3 passes and the tractor still stays in the road. So you don't have to be in the ditch
Right.
to do your mowing
Right.
or something.
Okay.
And I talked to Joe Nolan, who's their chairman of the board in Sandgate. They had their meeting earlier this evening. They are over the moon that we're willing to try to help them out.
I think this is great.
And,
It's
great.
great.
This is a
and
great
they
Yeah.
wanna do the same thing as far as, you know, like you said, a little agreement on,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
repairs or
Yeah.
whatever.
But in
back
the
and forth.
meantime, you know,
Yeah,
do
but in the
it.
meantime,
Do
but
it.
I'd also like to, you know, go over the same thing with Mark and,
Yep.
and Sunderland
Yep,
and Mike and Shasbury.
Yeah.
So my plan will be, it sounds like we have a sense of the board that says,
yes,
allocate this labor
yes.
in the short term, pending an MOU. I will draft up an MOU that we can then circulate to, frankly, as many of the neighboring towns that we're willing to work
That's
with.
the one that participated.
The like 3 core towns, and maybe we extend it to Manchester because they have a sidewalk sweeper that, under their new management, I would love to borrow.
We got Norm coming up from North Bend.
And we have
I've
Norm
got
coming up
Norm
from North
coming-
Bennington.
right. You know, that he's probably gonna charge us for, but
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that
Um,
one,
As far as, you know, material, if there was material swapping back and forth, we'd have to probably
Start
charge for.
accounting, yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to account for that, but other than that, I mean,
yeah.
as far as I'm
we're
concerned,
dealing with labor.
when we take our excavator up there, we'll make sure it's full of fuel, when it comes back, it'll be full of fuel.
Exactly.
You know, it's.
Little things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I just think it's like helping your neighbor.
I think
Yeah.
it's a great
That's a great
idea,
idea.
and the way we have like microclimates around here, one town could get really swamped with some kind
With
of
a
rain or
storm.
ice, and the others wouldn't, you know, so.
We
it's
stared
just-
at a situation where if we had a mutual aid agreement a couple of years ago, would have saved us $10,000. And I have one instance in the front of my head that that will always loom on these mutual aid discussions. That I know that those people were there, not busy, and we spent $10,000.
And if something goes down in the wintertime, a truck or something, you know,
Approve the MOU.
Yep.
one of the area towns, I'm sure would, you know, and vice versa, you know, if one of the sand gates went down and we could help them out, we would definitely try to do it. So,
Excellent. We have a sense of the board. We're good to go on that.
excellent, so, let me see what on my list. Before
What
we get
else
off-
you got, Mark?
Before we get off highway, not, actually, I'm pretty much done. I have a few questions for Nick, but they don't have to be in the meeting. I spoke with Chris Reben last week. He does have an itemized, quote for us on Black Hole Hollow, and he wants to meet with me, hopefully sometime this week, but I don't know when it's gonna happen for sure.
Yeah, so we'll have that up, and I'll
circulate.
circulate, as soon as he gets that to us, I'll circulate that to the private
All right.
construction firms that also wanna bid on this work.
I believe he
And go
said
from
it was a
there.
little bit more than his 8,500.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is
Yeah.
for sure, but,
Certainly why I'm reassured in getting a couple of,
Right.
of private bids as well on this.
Right. So, Nick, have you contacted anybody on that tree? I know you talked to the lady, I didn't know if you'd contacted anybody. to get
No,
some
I haven't,
prices on-
I haven't gotten the prices on the
Okay.
tree work yet, but
Alright.
yeah, we did get agreement from the landowner at the end of Sandgate Road to trim the tree, to remove the tree that is impinging the sight line, but only to remove the tree, because if we trim the tree such that it's not impinging the sight line, it's going to lean all straight over our house and probably fall directly on our house fairly soon.
Basically, it's gonna
It
be
needs to come
stock
out.
with 3 branches left on it.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and there's wires on both sides of it, so
Yeah,
there's no
it
way
needs to
for
come
us
down,
get
it needs to be done by a specialized tree firm, so we can
But
talk to a local tree firm.
I came out of there this afternoon, you know, with a town truck, and you gotta just slowly creep out so you can.
My goal
see
is
that
to get that removed as part of our regular budget without court
7:30 in
approval.
the morning, with Green Mountain Power trucks lined up.
way. Yeah,
Oh, that's bad.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
She was mowing her lawn this afternoon, but if I see her out, I'm gonna stop and just ask. And in the meantime, can I just take a few branches off? We'll take the tree down, but
Yeah.
just for now, to make it safe.
yeah, as soon as we can get, we'll get in touch with a couple of local tree guys, and, that's something that one tree's not gonna hit a bid threshold, so I'm just gonna award that, bar objection on the board, just for something like standard tree rate of between $500 and $1,000 respectively, whatever it may be. And
Other than that, I guess that's about it for me. We did do some grading on some trouble spots I had last week on, for washboard. Lost Lake Road, Cemetery Road, that's cause I graded them when it was so dry. And then working on, the corner on Maple Hill. I've narrowed the corner up a little bit, made a nice defined ditch, Glenny's probably
Yeah,
seen it.
that's awesome. It's great.
I did have a little bit of washboard up there, and I re-scraped it, put some more gravel on, so I'm hoping now that it'll get pounded in so it hardens up good.
Yeah.
We will be getting 3 bills from Woodard Construction for last week, a state inspection. They moved our excavator when it broke down on Maple Hill back to the shop, so I wouldn't have to take 3 baskets of tools up there to work on it. And we rented the roller and used the roller. He said he thought it was $110 an hour. The owner, I would thought, would know the prices, but he didn't. We rolled Lost Lake, and I think that's gonna make a huge difference on that hill. We rolled Cemetery Road, and we were gonna roll Maple Hill, but they needed it back, so told them to take it. I just rolled it in with the grader tires. So. And the excavator, I had to have the exhaust filter cleaned. Took it to Albany. I learned a valuable lesson the last one we did. Apparently there's 2 different sections to an exhaust filter. And they charge us labor for taking it apart to clean both sections. So once I found that out, I took it apart myself, took both sections down. One section was $300 to clean, the other section was $150. So it was $450. The invoice is in Janet's office, so.
regular maintenance.
And then they had to come from the dealer to reset the computer, because there's no way for us to do it.
Mhm.
I thought by unhooking the battery, it would do it, but
No, I don't know.
so, so that got that back up and running, so.
So the equipment's pretty close to back in working order across the board.
Yep,
And
Yeah, I'm still waiting for a headboard for the dump truck from the big snow snow. I'm gonna call back up there again this week. So, I get a chance. That's all.
All right.
That's it for me.
That's it?
awesome.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Nick, are we doing the dispatch?
That stuff's in,
afterwards?
that's the, well, we gotta,
After the
I mean, we
exec-
can, if we wanna create budget lines, we can create the budget lines before we go and discuss the details of the contract. I think it's probably
Let's
better,
do it after.
let's do it after we've officially discussed the matter in the executive session. So we have personnel contract and legal matters in the executive session, all of which should
All
be
three-
fairly brief.
All three subjects.
Do you wanna do the warrants and then we'll just have the executive session?
We're gonna have some
gonna have-
announcements, we're gonna have some
Okay.
substantial
We're gonna have
business
to-
after.
Okay, that's fine,
So-
that's fine.
I guess I should probably do the TA report. It was pretty straightforward this period. Was kind of all over the place working on these various matters. I'll note that there was a long discussion about addressing the tree that's blocking most of the channel on the river, and there's gonna be a bunch of bat and kill related conservation kind of discussions ongoing about what can be done about the access points and erosion at those access points. So hopefully there'll be some kind of update from the various stakeholders involved in this, but it was pretty much every stakeholder in the watershed space has been having a conversation about West Arlington and the access points.
56 emails.
Yes, you are on that email chain. It has been a long discussion, but there is progress on a number of matters on that front. But yeah, we have a number of ongoing kind of pieces that are outstanding. Not much by way of progress on any of the major projects. There's not an update on Benedict Crossing or wastewater. We spent a day working on the mailing, and that'll be finally out tomorrow morning. And there are a couple of other kind of key pieces that are taking time. We had a BCSWA meeting. Note that the solid waste facility is not open quite yet, but will be opening imminently within the next 2 to 3
The
weeks.
solid waste or the hazardous?
The hazardous waste, pardon me. The hazardous waste facility in Bennington will be open pending a little bit of work by the Bennington road crew on asphalt and things around it and some electrical contractors. So within the next 2 weeks or so, we should be starting to take appointments down there. As noted before, everything in that world came in on budget, so yay. We did get and approve the next budget for BCSWA, which because of some budget shifting, it will be slightly higher, but then it'll be back to being lower than what we were paying before the hazardous waste facility was set up in the budget year following this current one. So successful meeting on that, and important for many citizens certainly. Planning Commission, look for at one of the next couple of meetings, the planning bylaw is just about done, and we look forward to celebrating that right on time for final approval and in what was the most substantial rewrite of the zoning law that we have ever had, if you compare that to the 1972 version. So everyone's really proud of the work on that. Certainly something that's been highlighted the last couple of weeks, spending a bunch of time on, and look for that at the select board meeting. It should be the second select board meeting in July that we are set to have that conversation. At the next meeting, the conservation district will be at our meeting to update us on the school project, as Jim Henderson had talked about last meeting. So we thought about doing it tonight. We certainly had some other business that was written.
What's the date on the second meeting?
I think it's July 26th, 24th. So we have July 10th, 17th, for the water department and 24th for the second select board meeting. So that should, the conservation district should be at the 10th, or we can delay them till the 24th if you're out of town or anything like that. And the 24th will be when we have the zoning law tentatively. So that's where we're at. I think we're ready to go into the executive session without any other questions.
I will entertain a motion to establish the reason for the executive session as a personnel contract and legal matters.
I make a motion that premature discussion of contract, personnel, and legal matters would cause the municipality to suffer substantial disadvantage.
Is there a second? Second, a motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Todd to establish the reasons for the executive session as personnel, contract, and legal matters. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I make another motion to actually enter into executive session for discussion of the personnel, contract, and legal issues, and to allow Town Administrator Zayas to remain in the room. Does Mr. Robinson need to join
I
us?
don't think there's any of these that are highway related unless you
All right,
know of
then
any.
Mr. Robinson is relieved of that responsibility.
Second, yeah, we'll see tomorrow.
Motion made by Cynthia
Or
and seconded
hopefully
by
not.
Todd to enter into executive session to discuss the aforementioned matters. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll just go in there, because we'll come back out and we have a,
Recording in progress.
And we are under, and let me, yeah, it's back in, we're good to go.
okay. We are, it is 8:51 and we're back in open session. And we have several appointments and a contract to approve. Somebody wants to authorize Town Administrator Zayas to approve the dispatching contract. We will vote that first.
I'll make a motion to approve the dispatching contract for the Arlington Fire Department to the town of Manchester at a rate of $55 per call, or an average of $8,250 per year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made by Todd and seconded by Jamie to enter into an agreement with Manchester for fire dispatching in an amount of $55 per call, approximate annual.
No, it's a total lump sum annual.
Total lump sum, okay, of $82.50.
$82.50 based on a call rate of $55 a call. But
Over a
that doesn't
3-year
change the
rolling
motion
average.
anyway.
So, all those in favor of the motion, everybody understand the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. So all you have to do is sign it.
And then the appointees are
And then
on the
The
screen.
appointments are on the screen. First, we'll take up the chief committee. The committee for fire department members will be Vince Thompson and Randy Novotny. And the member of the public will be Ally Zayas. And Dan Todd, is that,
Yep.
okay?
Okay. And
So what we'll do is just have a motion to approve the chief committee appointments as a slate. So if somebody wants to make that motion, you can name the names, but a slate of committee members.
I make a motion to approve the slate of Vince Thompson, Randy Novotny for the fire department, representing the public, Ali Zayas, and Dan Harvey and Todd Wilkins for the select board, for the chief committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Cynthia and seconded by Glenn to approve the chief committee, fire department members Vince Thompson and Randy Novotny, public, Ali Zayas, and select board members, myself, Dan Harvey, and Todd Wilkins. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any negative? All right, motion carries. So the building committee, we'll need a motion to approve the fire department as Josh McKenzie, Ryan Hawley. Public members Joe O'Day, Matt Bykowski, and Olavi Workey, and Jamie and Glenn as the select board members.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Todd to approve the committee, building committee as stated. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have our chief committee and our building committee stood up.
Okay, and then the other appointments, we have at the bottom of the screen up there.
So Garrett Siegel doing it, did he?
Yeah, he submitted his resignation.
So we just need to,
From the energy.
Accept his resignation from the Energy Committee,
okay.
and,
I'll make a motion to accept Garrett Siegel's resignation from the Arlington Energy Committee.
Second.
Motion made by Todd and seconded by Glenn. I would just ask that he be given a letter.
oh,
thanking him
and
for his
actually,
service.
I'm gonna say that we should, as part of the next motion, appoint Garrett back as a alternate to the Energy Committee. That'll help us with forums and things like that. He's still gonna be at the meetings.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so, and,
So,
We haven't accepted that. Well, we haven't
Sorry.
voted on it yet.
should we'll vote to accept his resignation?
yeah, let's accept it.
Yeah. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we need a motion to
I'll make
appoint
a
Marion
motion,
Holmes.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mary Ann Holmes to the Arlington Energy Committee and Garrett Siegel as an alternative appointee.
Second.
Motion made by Todd and seconded by Jamie to appoint Mary Ann Holmes to the Arlington Energy Committee and Garrett Siegel as an alternate to the Arlington Energy Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then the only other thing here is just acknowledging the passing of Michael Ann Sylvester. We sent her a card, but we'll just acknowledge that the passing to make public the opening of the seat on the ZBA. So there's no motion here, but public watching at home, RIP to Michael Ann, who served the public for a couple of years there, and there is now an open seat on the zoning board of adjustment. So that's that.
And I would ask you to make a note on that for a resolution at town meeting.
Absolutely. And so now we're into warrants.
All right.
I make a motion to approve check warrant report C 23-5 dated 6/15/23. This has to do with the bridge study.
Yes,
Is Ben call?
yes. Yeah, Ben passing.
Okay, so it's coming from a particular account.
Yeah, that's CRF Bridges.
And this is MSK Engineers, a total of $4,044.87. Motion to approve.
Second.
4,044.87, correct?
Correct.
So motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Todd to approve check warrant report C 23-5 in the total amount of $4,044.89 for the Benedict Crossing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alright.
Nick, do we have a potential estimated time we might get a report on recommendations for that?
It's gonna be, it's running through the course of the summer. They have a deadline of September to be done
Okay.
with the study. So
Thank you.
we are very confident that they will be able to generate a repair option. That is their #1 task here in the city.
Is there anyone opposed to that motion? All those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to approve check warrant report number WD 12 dated 6/16/23. These are the regular operational expenses of the Arlington Water Department. Key elements are health insurance premiums and Green Mountain Power for electricity. Motion to approve $2,315.95.
Second. Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Todd to approve check warrant report WD 12 in the total amount of $2,315.95 for water department operations. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I make a motion to approve check warrant report number 12 dated 6/16, being the operational expenses for the town of Arlington. Key elements are, again, health insurance, also taxes to the county of Bennington,
Which we have not paid yet this year, so that clears zero.
miles, fuels, and, I don't know, stuff like that. Truck maintenance, envelopes,
A little bit of everything.
a little bit of everything. Okay, and so I make a motion to approve the total of $37,695.53.
Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Todd to approve check warrant report number 12 from the town's operating budget for a total of $37,695.53. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Is there any other business to be brought before the town?
Nothing for me.
Anyone?
Next meeting is July 10th, we have a 3-week gap this time because of the July 4th holiday.
Might need 3 weeks.
Yeah, you might. To recover. All right, if there's no other business to be brought before the town, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Todd and seconded by Glenn. We are adjourned. Thanks
Recording
everyone
stopped.
for your time.
All right, I need 2 witnesses to my signature.